The mainline Final Fantasy series has made its triumphant return to the Nintendo hardware with the release of the Final Fantasy VII Remake on the Nintendo Switch 2. And I picked this game up, I've been playing it all week, and I have been having a lot of fun with this. It's been a great experience. So I wanted to come on and talk about, how this port is on the Switch 2, what I like about the game, what I don't like, and whether I think this is something you should pick up. Now let's just start by talking about the port itself, and I gotta say, Square Enix did a great job bringing this to the Switch 2. They didn't cut any corners. I haven't faced really any issues. It looks amazing, graphics are awesome, gameplay is smooth, fun, and it's just a really great port. What people will say or criticize about this port is that it's only running at 30 frames per second. And this is true, but in my opinion, what you're losing from 60 FPS to 30 FPS is pale in comparison to what you're gaining, which is the portability factor on the Switch 2, being able to play this on the go, anywhere you want, in your bed before you sleep, when you wake up, however you want to do it. Having this in handheld mode is just an awesome experience. And again, I gotta say, even though it's 30 frames per second, it looks amazing. I've never been playing the game over this week and thought to myself, this doesn't look good. This performance isn't good enough for me. Nothing like that. I've been fully immersed in the game and it looks incredible. And let me say that I also do have a PlayStation 5, so I know what the 60 frames per second version looks like. And I would not worry about what people are saying when it comes to the FPS on this game. It looks amazing. It plays amazing, and again, you're getting this in handheld mode, the option to play in handheld mode. And let me say that I've played the game both in handheld mode and dock mode, to be honest, probably equally up to this point, and it looks great in both. So I'm just so happy what Square Enix was able to do with this port, and it really makes me optimistic for what the future of the Switch 2 is going to look like, and what developers are going to be able to do on the hardware, because now we've gotten a good Cyberpunk port, we've gotten this port, and those are pretty, high performing games. So if we're able to bring those over to the Switch 2, the future's looking pretty good, at least for the next few years for sure. So really happy with this port, but let's get into some of the smaller nitty gritty details. I've talked about the graphics and how this plays, but I will say there's maybe the only nitpick I can say about this port or the performance is that I did notice a little slowdown on maybe one or two cutscenes, but only the cutscenes. I haven't noticed any issues in game while I'm actually running around or in combat. So just one or two cutscenes I did notice a little stutter, a little slowdown, but that's literally one or two cutscenes and that's about it. And that's the only critique that I can give so far with this port being 20 hours into the game. Now, I will say, it did pain me a bit to pick this up because it is a game key card, and I'm one of those people that's not a fan of the direction Nintendo's going with the game key cards, but again, I have this available on my PS5, and I just really wanted to play this, try this out on the Switch, on the go, in handheld mode, and I don't know what I'm going to do with this after I beat it. I might even sell it. I don't know, we'll see. But I would encourage you, if you haven't played this game, to definitely get out there, give it a go. It's been one of my favorite experiences I've had so far on the Switch 2. And Square Enix has come out and said that they will be releasing Part 2 and Part 3 as well on the Switch 2. And they say they're not going to be cutting any corners. They're going to put the same amount of love into those ports. And they're basically promising that, they're going to release ports of the same standard, of the same quality as this one. And we're going to see what that means, because I know Part 2 is a lot more complicated, requires a lot more hardware to run, at a good frames per second or good performance. So we'll see if they can pull that off. I don't know what that means. I don't know if they'll need to, downgrade some of the textures, whatever kind of tricks they might have to do to get that port running on the Switch 2, but we'll see. I'm optimistic because of what they were able to do with this port right here. So let's talk a little bit more about the game and It's just so fun to go back to Final Fantasy VII, get back into the world of Midgar, run around as Cloud, and just explore, right? Do those side quests, do those mainline quests. The combat is really fun, and I gotta say, I think I'm one of the lucky people that enjoys both the turn-based and the action style combat in Final Fantasy. Now, I will say that I think I do like turn-based combat more, and I prefer to see, mainline Final Fantasy games having turn-based combat. And there's been some Final Fantasy games with action combat that I really did not enjoy. But I will recognize and say that Square Enix is getting better with the action combat in the Final Fantasy series. I do see those improvements every game they release. And it's getting to the point where I'm really enjoying these games. I gotta say, I didn't enjoy the combat as much in something like as Final Fantasy 16, but Final Fantasy VII Remake, combat's really fun, and I guess I'm really fortunate to be one of those people that can kind of play these games both ways, turn-based, action combat. I'll embrace it. Of course, I have my preferences for which one I like more and what direction I want the series to go in, but I don't have a problem picking up and playing any of these games. I'm just happy they're still doing Final Fantasy games after all these years. Now, another thing I want to talk about with this game is the music. And the music in this game so good, so immersive, such a joy to listen to. And I can definitely expect that after I finish this game on the Switch 2, I will be continuing to listen to the music. It's basically an updated orchestral version of the original Final Fantasy VII soundtrack. So great job on the music, great job on the graphics, great job on the port. And again, really curious to see where we go from here on the Switch 2. What do the next Final Fantasy ports look like on the Switch 2? We know we have Part 2, Part 3 coming. That's been confirmed by Square Enix. I do wonder if they'll bring over some other games like Final Fantasy 16, but the fact that the Switch 2 and developers have been able to port over games like this, games like Cyberpunk, I think it puts us in a really good position to see a lot of more great games, great ports coming over to the Switch 2 in the future. And, I would really love to know how much effort did Square Enix have to put into this port to get it running how it is running on the Switch 2, because again, it's a very competent port. I told you the only issues I could mention, right? Just little bit of lag, little bit of stuttering in one or two cutscenes. But besides that, it's been incredible. Buttery smooth. The FPS doesn't bother me at all. Just happy to have this in my hands on the Switch 2. So I want to ask everybody, have you picked this up? Do you plan to pick it up? And I really want to encourage you, if you haven't played this game, if you put it off because maybe, you don't like the direction they're going in with Final Fantasy because of the action combat, or if you're like me and you just don't like the game keycard direction, I would still encourage you, give this game a try. You're doing yourself a disservice if you haven't played this game yet. If you got a PS5, definitely, this isn't the definitive way to play the game. If you've got a PS5, if you have other options, you may want to explore playing the game on those consoles as I have. But again, if you want to play it on the Switch 2, if you want that portability factor, highly, highly recommend this game. Amazing port, amazing game, and again, really looking good for the future of the Switch 2, knowing that they're able to port a game like this at this quality over onto the Switch 2. So shout out to Square Enix. Really happy with what they've done here. And I'm going to finish playing this game on the Switch 2. I'll go all the way through it because, again, I'm just having so much fun playing it. So that's it. Again, drop a comment below. Let me know, what do you think about this port if you've played it on the Switch 2? Does the 30 frames per second bother you? Does that put you off from wanting to play the game? If you've played it on both the PS5 and the Switch 2 as I have, what do you think about the differences there? And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe for more. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed. Have a good day.